In this video, we'll run a two-sample t-test using the Adult Non-Victim Survey taken from the Crime Survey for England and Wales 2011 to 2012. Its file name is CSEW_APR11 MAR12_NVF.SAV. This dataset is available for free download from the UK Data Service website. Suppose you used survey data to compare mean confidence in the police between men and women, and you found that there was a slight difference between the means. You may wonder if this difference is large enough to be interesting, or if the difference in means across both sexes is simply due to chance. Because you calculated these means from data from a sample of the population, it may be that by taking a different sample, you could show that there was no difference between the sexes. In order to investigate whether or not the mean difference you found was due to chance, you should run a t-test to see if the difference is statistically significant. In a t-test, like in most tests of significance, the significance threshold is traditionally set at p is equal to 0.05. A p-value is basically a measure of the likelihood of finding a mean difference by chance, if indeed there is no difference in the population. If in the population there's no difference between police confidence for males and females, just by randomly selecting the sample we may have caused there to be a different mean for males and females. We can work out the chances of the result that we have obtained happening by chance. If a p-value reported from a t-test is less than 0.05, then that result is said to be statistically significant. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, then the result is insignificant. We're going to use the independent samples or two-sample t-test because we're interested in comparing the means across two unrelated categories, male and female, in the variable sex. In order to run the t-test, select Analyze, Compare Means, and Independent Samples t-test. We'll have to find our continuous variable, policeconf1, and move it to the test variables box. Next, find our categorical variable and move it to the grouping variable text bar. You'll see here that next to our categorical variable, we have two question marks. This is because we need to define the categories in this variable. So we'll click on Define Groups. Now group 1 refers to the category that's coded as 1 in this variable. Male is category 1, so we'll put 1, and female is category 2, put 2. Now we'll click Continue and OK to run the t-test. In the group statistics table, you can see that SPSS has calculated the number of male and female respondents and the mean scores for both of those groups. We've also been provided with the standard deviations for both men and women. In the independent samples test table, SPSS gives us the significance levels of the differences in means. There are actually two separate statistical tests shown in this second table. The first test, Levine's test for equality of variances, tests whether the two means have been taken from sample populations that have equal variance. This matters for the actual t-test. If the variation in confidence for males and females is the same, then we would use a different form of the t-test than if the variation was different. For the Levine's test for equality of variances, a p-value of less than 0.05 indicates that there are, in fact, different variances for males and females. The p-value reported for our Levine's test of equality of variance is p is equal to 0.001, which is well below the threshold of 0.05. So we can say that equal variance is not assumed for this sample and go on to check the significance level reported in the t-test for equalities of means section. Because we've decided that the equal variances are not assumed, we're going to use the p-value presented in the second row of this table. If we had found equal variances in the Levine's test, then we would use the top row. The p-value presented in the equal variances not assumed row for this t-test is 0.000, which is much lower than the p-value significance threshold of 0.05. This tells us that the difference in the police confidence means between men and women is statistically significant.